When approaching an intersection with a flashing red light, you must A. Come to a complete stop, yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians, then proceed. B. Reduce your speed and proceed with caution. C. Come to a complete stop and remain stopped as long as the light is red. A. Come to a complete stop, yield to oncoming traffic and pedestrians, then proceed. A flashing red traffic light means the same thing as a stop sign. When arriving at an intersection with a flashing red light, you must come to a full stop and proceed when it is safe to do so. To avoid glare from the headlights of an approaching car. A. Look briefly toward the right side of the road. B. Stay focused on the center line on the road. C. Flash your high beams. A. Look briefly toward the right side of the road. You should avoid looking toward the bright lights of an oncoming vehicle by glancing toward the right side of the road. After looking briefly toward the side of the road, continue looking ahead to check on the position of the other vehicle. As you approach an intersection with a flashing yellow light, A. Stop before crossing the intersection. B. Slow down and proceed with caution. C. Wait for a green light before proceeding. B. Slow down and proceed with caution. A flashing yellow light means that you should slow down, check for cross traffic, and proceed with caution. When arriving to an uncontrolled intersection at the same time as vehicles to your right and left, you should A. Yield the right-of-way to the vehicle on your left. B. Yield the right-of-way to the vehicle on your right. C. Wait until there are no vehicles at the intersection before proceeding. B. Yield the right-of-way to the vehicle on your right. If multiple vehicles arrive at the same time to an intersection that is not controlled by signs or signals, the driver on the right has the right-of-way. Drivers should then proceed in the order that they arrive to the intersection.
Want to ace your DMV test? Click on the link below and get your guaranteed cheat sheet.
A solid yellow arrow on a traffic signal means A. You should speed up so you can make the turn before the light changes. B. You do not need to signal to turn from the indicated lane. C. You should prepare to stop and yield the right-of-way to oncoming traffic. If oncoming headlights are blinding you while you are driving at night, you should A. Look toward the right edge of the road. B. Switch your lights to high beams. C. Turn your lights on and off. When being passed by another vehicle. A. Brake hard. B. Maintain a constant speed. C. Speed up. B. Maintain a constant speed. When being passed, you must yield to the passing vehicle and not increase your speed. Allow the vehicle to safely merge back into your lane. You are driving on the freeway behind a large truck. You should drive A. Closer behind the truck than you would if following a passenger vehicle. B. Farther behind the truck than you would if following a passenger vehicle. C. To the right side of the truck and wait to pass. B. Farther behind the truck than you would if following a passenger vehicle. It is necessary to follow farther behind a large truck than you would if following a passenger vehicle because trucks have larger blind spots. When driving in fog, you should A. Slow down and use your low beam headlights. B. Slow down and use your high beam headlights. C. Turn your lights on and off to warn other drivers. A. Slow down and use your low beam headlights. When driving in fog, you should slow down and use your low beam headlights. If the fog is so bad that you cannot see, pull off the road and wait for the fog to clear. When driving down a long or steep hill, you should A. Check your mirrors for speeding traffic behind you. B. Assume all traffic is maintaining a consistent speed. C. Hold down your brake pedal to control the speed of surrounding traffic. A. Check your mirrors for speeding traffic behind you. Check your mirrors for quickly approaching vehicles when you are driving down hills or mountains. Vehicles often build up speed while traveling down a steep grade. Be alert to large trucks and buses that may be going too fast. Tailgating other drivers, driving too closely to their rear bumper. A. Can frustrate other drivers and make them angry. B. Cannot result in a traffic citation. C. Reduces collisions by preventing being cut off. A. Can frustrate other drivers and make them angry. Tailgating is a common behavior that can lead to aggressive driving, and so it should be avoided. Drivers may face legal consequences for driving unsafely. When parking next to a curb, you should use your turn signals. A. Only when pulling away from the curb. B. When pulling next to, but not away from, the curb. C. When pulling next to or away from the curb. C. When pulling next to or away from the curb. Drivers should signal when pulling next to a curb or away from a curb. Give the right of way to any pedestrian who is A. In a marked crosswalk. B. In any crosswalk or intersection. C. Crossing any street. C. Crossing any street. Drivers must yield the right of way to pedestrians who are crossing the street in any marked or unmarked crosswalk. In the interest of safety, drivers should yield the right of way to people crossing any street. If you are about to be hit from the rear, you should not A. Release your seat belt. B. Brace yourself. C. Press your head against the head restraint. A. Release your seat belt. If your vehicle is hit from the rear while you are in forward motion, your body will be thrown backward. Brace yourself by pressing against the back of your seat and putting your head against the head restraint to prevent whiplash. Maintain a firm grip on the steering wheel and be ready to apply your brakes to avoid being pushed into another vehicle. What should you do when you see this sign? A. Look for a train station ahead. B. Signal before going any further. C. Slow down and yield to trains. C. Slow down and yield to trains. A round sign means you are approaching a railroad crossing. This sign is posted a few hundred feet in front of the tracks and tells drivers to slow down, look, listen, and prepare to stop. When parallel parking, you should park within. Fill in the blank. Of the curb. A. 4 feet. B. 3 feet. C. 2 feet. When making a left turn, you should not A. Signal to other drivers. B. Cut the corner. C. Slow down. B. Cut the corner. When turning left, you should slow down and activate your turn signal before making the turn. Be careful not to cut the corner short, as this may interfere with traffic. It is necessary to use your low beams any time you are A. On a lighted street. B. On a freeway. C. In fog. C. In fog. Use your low beams when driving in fog, snow, rain, or mist. Light from high beams will reflect off of precipitation, causing a glare and making it even more difficult to see. Some vehicles are equipped with fog lights that should be used in addition to low beam headlights. You are approaching a green traffic light and traffic is blocking the intersection. What is the best thing to do? A. Partially enter the intersection to establish your right-of-way. B. Don't enter the intersection until you can get completely across. C. Continue into the intersection and wait for traffic to clear. You want to turn left at an upcoming corner. Yield the right-of-way to A. Oncoming vehicles also turning left. B. All approaching vehicles. C. Pedestrians on the sidewalk waiting for a walk signal. B. All approaching vehicles. When making a left turn, you must yield to pedestrians, bicyclists, or other vehicles moving on their green light. What is a potential effect of taking a prescription drug while drinking alcohol? A. There will likely be no effect. B. It will make you more alert. C. It can make you unfit to drive. C. It can make you unfit to drive. Legal medications, both prescription and over-the-counter, can impair your ability to drive. They can be particularly dangerous when used in combination with alcohol. This sign means A. Road construction maintenance area. B. Side road. C. Railroad ahead. A. Road construction maintenance area. Diamond-shaped signs are used to warn of actual or possible hazards. The color orange is used for warning signs usually found in construction or maintenance areas. Handicap parking spaces are available? A. To anyone, but only if all other spaces are occupied. B. Only to drivers with the appropriate license plate or hanging tag. C. To people who are not feeling well. B. Only to drivers with the appropriate license plate or hanging tag. Reserved handicap parking spaces should be used only by persons with a disability as defined under state law. To park in a handicap parking space, you must have either the appropriate license plate or designated hang tag displaying the international symbol. A school bus has stopped ahead of you in your lane with its red lights flashing. You should A. Stop and proceed when you think all of the children have exited the bus. B. Slow to 25 miles per hour and pass cautiously. C. Stop for as long as the red lights are flashing. C. Stop for as long as the red lights are flashing. When a stopped school bus is using its flashing red lights, approaching drivers must stop and remain stopped until the lights stop flashing. If the school bus is on the opposite side of a divided highway, drivers do not need to stop. Double solid yellow line markings down the center of a road indicate that passing is A. Allowed from both directions. B. Allowed only from your direction of travel. C. Not allowed from either direction. C. Not allowed from either direction. A double yellow centerline means that it is prohibited for traffic from either direction to cross the centerline to pass.